The story begins in the remote highlands of New Mexico Territory. In the winter of 1874, snow blankets the ground and the wind bites through even the thickest coats. Clara Whitaker, a 31-year-old widow, lives in a modest log cabin nestled between two ridges. A former schoolteacher from the East, she had followed her husband westward years earlier, chasing a dream of land, freedom, and a fresh start. That dream shattered when her husband died suddenly from fever just 1 year into their homesteading life. Now, Clara survives alone barely. She keeps chickens, gathers firewood, and grows what little she can in the high mountain soil. Every day is a battle against isolation and the unforgiving wild. She doesn't see people often. When she does, it's the occasional trapper or a passing mail rider. The nearest town, San Pedro, is 20 miles away. She doesn't trust many, and even fewer trust her, especially after she refused to join the local settlers' alliance formed to defend against Indian threats. Clara is a woman shaped by both grief and grit. She wears her hair tied back in a practical braid, carries a rifle slung by the door, and speaks more to her old dog Jasper than to any living person. Still, she is not unkind. Her husband's memory and the values they once shared live on in her. It is those values that stir her into action when fate intervenes one frozen morning. After a bitter snowstorm sweeps through the region, Clara ventures out to check her snares and chop fresh wood. That's when she finds him, half buried beneath the snow. Not far from the edge of her property lies the body of a man, or what she assumes is a body. He is motionless, his dark hair tangled with blood and frost. He wears traditional buckskin, leggings and a torn deerskin shirt decorated with faint tribal patterns. A deep gash runs down his ribs. His skin is cold, but he's breathing barely. She freezes, heart pounding. He's Apache. Every settler in the area has been warned. Don't trust them. Don't help them. There are stories about raids, about scalping, about children taken in the night. Her neighbors would shoot him without hesitation. And if anyone found out she was harboring one, but Clara doesn't move to shoot. Instead, she kneels beside him. There's something in his face pain, yes, but also vulnerability. He's too young to die like this, too far from help. She places her gloved hand over his forehead, burning with fever. He's suffering, dying. War rages inside her. She could leave. Pretend she never saw him. No one would ever know. But her husband's voice comes to her calm and steady. Right is right, even when it's hard. So she makes a decision. Risking everything, Clara hauls the wounded Apache back to her cabin with great effort. She lays him on a bed of furs beside the fire. She boils water. She cleans the wound, stitches what she can, and brews a tea from dried herbs, willow bark, pine needles, and mint. All the while, she watches the door, heart hammering. The man doesn't wake that night. He moans in his sleep, mutters words she doesn't understand. Clara doesn't sleep much either. She sits by his side, tending his fever and listening to the winter wind howl outside. The risk she has taken is enormous. If the local patrol discovers him, she could be charged with treason or worse. But as the fire crackles and the storm dies down, Clara knows one thing for certain. She couldn't let him die in the snow. Not while she still had breath in her body to help Dot by morning. A fragile thread has been woven between two strangers. And neither of their lives will ever be the same again, Dot, when morning breaks. The storm has passed, but the tension in Clara's small cabin is still thick. The Apache warrior lies unmoving by the hearth, feverish and unconscious. Clara wakes from a light sleep in her rocking chair, stiff and sore but alert. She immediately checks his pulse, still faint but present. He's alive, but for how long, she doesn't know. Her days take on a routine centered around his care. She boils water, brews more of her medicinal teas, and carefully cleans his wound, which has begun to darken and swell. The gash is ugly and deep, likely from a blade or an animal claw, though she can't be sure. Every hour she replaces his damp cloths and speaks softly to him, even though he doesn't respond. It's part habit, part comfort for her as much. As for him, Clara is aware of the danger she's brought into her home. Not just the threat of him waking up violent or confused, but the greater threat from the outside. If any of the men from the nearby settlers' patrol came to call, or if a trader passed by and saw him, she'd be marked a traitor. Yet she doesn't waver. Something deeper than fear keeps her steady. Compassion, perhaps. Or the lingering memory of her husband, who always believed that human life came before politics or prejudice. On the third night, she notices a slight movement, just a twitch of the fingers. Then a groan. Clara sits upright, alert. The warrior stirs again, his chest rising faster. Suddenly, his eyes open dark, sharp, filled with confusion and pain. Clara raises her hands in a slow, non-threatening motion. "You're safe," she says gently. "You're in my home." He blinks, trying to focus. His mouth opens, but only broken sounds come out, Apache words she can't understand. Then he tries to sit up, but pain halts him, and he winces, falling back onto the fur blanket. No, don't move. You're hurt. You lost a lot of blood." He watches her closely now, wary and silent. She senses the tension in his shoulders. He is calculating, trying to understand who she is, where he is, and why she hasn't killed him. Clara fetches a warm drink and offers it to him. At first, he doesn't move, but eventually, he takes it with a trembling hand. Their fingers briefly touch, and for a second, there's a shared recognition of something neither can name, a spark of human connection beyond words. In the following days, the warrior's strength returns slowly. He still doesn't speak much, but he watches everything, how Clara moves, what tools she uses, how she tends the fire. He mimics her speech in small whispers, picking up English words slowly. Water, food, pain. Clara tries to ask his name, pointing to herself. "Clara," she says. He seems to understand. After a pause, he taps his chest and says, "Nanton." It's not much, but it's a beginning. As he heals, he insists through gestures on helping. He mends her broken snare trap, sharpens her hatchet, and even limps outside to split some firewood. She protests, worried he'll reopen his wound, but he's stubborn and proud. She realizes that his presence doesn't feel like a burden anymore. Oddly, it feels like companionship. But one afternoon, as she's foraging in the woods nearby, Clara hears distant voices, men's voices. A small patrol of bounty hunters is moving through the trees, loudly talking about a wounded Injun seen limping near the ridge. Her heart races. She hides until they pass, then rushes back too. The cabin to warn Nanton. They don't need words to understand each other now. His eyes narrow. He knows what they are and what they'd do if they found him here. That night, Clara doesn't sleep. She keeps her rifle loaded by the door. The world outside is growing more dangerous, but so is the bond forming inside her. Home, and neither she nor Nanton can go back to who they were before. The days that follow bring a slow, unspoken shift in the relationship between Clara and Nanton. What began as a desperate act of mercy is quietly transforming into something deeper: mutual respect, cautious trust, even curiosity. Though they still speak few words, their silences have softened. The fear that once hung heavy in the air is beginning to lift. Nanton, still recovering but stronger now, insists on helping Clara around the homestead. He repairs her broken fence using sinew and wood pegs, his hands skilled and sure. He teaches her how to set up a better snare using just a few sticks and some twine, showing her by example rather than speech. Clara, in return, offers what she can: simple meals, warm clothes, and patient kindness. One evening, she makes cornbread, and when she places a piece on his plate, he hesitates, then gives a slight nod of thanks. That nod says more than a sentence. Clara begins to learn from him not just practical skills, but a new way of seeing. She notices how Nanton walks silently through the woods, how he studies the sky and wind, how he tracks deer without a sound. He shows her that the land is not just to be worked or endured, it is to be read, respected, even partnered with. At night, they sit by the fire. Clara reads aloud from a weathered book, slowly, letting her voice fill the space. Nanton listens. Quietly, his expression unreadable, but he never leaves the room until she closes the book. Sometimes, he draws in the dirt by the hearth symbols she doesn't understand but senses are meaningful. Through gestures and broken words, Nanton reveals more about himself. His name means spokesman or leader, and she begins to suspect. He's no ordinary tribesman. From the way he carries himself, from the ceremonial patterns sewn into his tattered clothes, from the reverence in his movements, Clara realizes he was likely someone of importance among his people. A warrior, maybe even a scout or a leader, but he's haunted. On one of the colder nights, he wakes from a nightmare shouting in Apache, sweat pouring from his brow. Clara rushes to his side, gently pressing a damp cloth to his head until he calms. In the morning, he draws a rough sketch in the dirt. A group of riders, a fight, a fire. He taps the sketch of himself, then draws another figure falling beside him. He was ambushed, possibly by a rival tribe or U.S. soldiers. He was protecting something, or someone. The trauma still clings to him, just as Clara's grief clings to her. Despite their differences, the two understand each other more than they realize. Both are survivors. Both are alone in their own ways. Both have scars, his on the body, hers on the heart. Then, one night as Clara is feeding the chickens, she hears distant howls, not wolves, but signal calls far off in the canyon. She freezes. Nanton appears at the door, alert, listening. He seems to recognize the sounds. There's a tension in his face, not fear, exactly, but anticipation. The howls come again, more urgent this time. Nanton responds with a soft, low call of his own. A moment later, silence. Clara realizes what this means. His people may be near. They may be searching for him. Her pulse quickens. What would they do if they found her a white woman harboring their wounded warrior? Would they see her as a threat? An intruder? A trespasser? Nanton looks at her, and for the first time speaks a full sentence in English. They come soon. His eyes are steady, serious. Not threatening, but not comforting either. Clara grips the edge of the table. Her world is about to change again, and this time she doesn't know if she'll survive what comes next. At dawn, the world outside Clara's cabin is quiet, cloaked in the soft pink light of early morning. The heavy winter storm that had battered the mountains is long gone, leaving behind a clear, crisp sky and a peaceful stillness that almost feels sacred. But inside Clara, the calm is fragile, taut with anticipation. Nanton has been restless since the signal calls echoed through the night. He paced near the door, listening intently to every sound, every rustle in the trees. Clara can see the tension in his eyes. There's something deeper now, a mixture of relief and apprehension. She senses the moment they both feared is imminent. Suddenly, a faint thundering sound disturbs the morning silence. Hoofbeats, coming fast and sure down the mountain trail. Clara steps outside just as a group of riders appears cresting the ridge. They're Apache warriors, their faces painted in traditional colors, their attire rich with feathers and beads, riding with quiet dignity. The leader, a tall man with stern eyes and a regal bearing, dismounts first. Clara's breath catches in her throat. This is no ordinary band of warriors, this is a tribe on a mission. Nanton stands beside her, his body weakened but proud. The warriors form a respectful circle around the cabin. The leader approaches, eyes locked on Clara. There is a moment of charged silence. Clara raises her hand slowly, showing she means no harm. The leader is Nanton's older brother, a chief. Of the Apache. Clara senses the deep bond between the two men, unspoken yet unmistakable. The chief's gaze shifts between Nanton and Clara, studying her carefully. She fears the worst, a demand for answers, a warning, maybe even violence, but what follows surprises her. The chief nods solemnly, then gestures for the others to dismount and gather around Clara. With reverence, the warriors lower their heads. Briefly, not a gesture of submission, but of respect. Clara feels her heart swell with a mix of awe and humility. The chief steps forward, unwrapping a bundle of soft, weathered deerskin. Inside is a collection of beautifully crafted objects, intricately beaded necklaces, silver bracelets, and a woven sash, symbols of honor and kinship in Apache culture. He holds the sash up, then lays it gently across Clara's shoulders. In this quiet ceremony, Clara is made an honorary member of the tribe, a gesture that transcends language and history. The gift is not just material, it is a sacred bond, a symbol of trust and gratitude for her courage and kindness. Nanton's brother speaks softly, his words carried by a translator who had accompanied the riders. He explains that Clara's bravery in saving Nanton's life has earned her the respect of their people, and that the tribe pledges to protect her as one of their own. Clara feels tears sting her eyes, overwhelmed by the unexpected honor and the weight of what it means. She never imagined her act of mercy would ripple so far, crossing boundaries and healing wounds that went deeper than the physical. As the warriors prepare to leave, Nanton stays by Clara's side, steady and strong. The bond between them has solidified into something unbreakable. The tribe's presence feels like a shield around her cabin, a promise of safety she had not dared to hope for. After the riders vanish down the trail, Clara takes a moment to absorb the morning's events. The treasure the tribe brought is more than beads and silver. It is a testament to the power of compassion, bravery, and the unexpected friendships that can arise in the harshest of places. That day marks a turning point. Clara is no longer just a lonely woman living on the edge of the wilderness. She has become part of a story much larger than herself, a story of healing, courage, and the enduring strength of human connection. After the Apache tribe departs, leaving behind the silent mountain air and the faint scent of horse sweat and sagebrush, Clara stands in her cabin doorway, clutching the deerskin bundle the chief had placed around her shoulders. The weight of the sash and the shimmering silver jewelry inside feels heavier than mere fabric and metal. It carries a profound meaning, one she is only beginning to understand. Inside the cabin, Clara carefully unwraps the bundle on her worn wooden table. The contents are exquisite. Delicate necklaces adorned with turquoise and bone beads, finely crafted silver bracelets etched with tribal symbols, and the hand-woven sash itself, patterned with vibrant reds, blacks, and whites. These are not ordinary gifts. They are sacred tokens, steeped in Apache tradition, symbols reserved for those who have earned the tribe's deepest respect. Clara's fingers tremble as she touches the pieces, overwhelmed by the honor they represent. She recalls the chief's solemn words, how her courage and compassion had transcended the divisions between their worlds. In their eyes, she had become family, an ally, and protector. The treasure was not simply a reward but a pledge, the tribe's promise to stand by her, just as she had stood by Nant and Dot. As she holds the sash up to the light, memories flood her mind. She thinks of the lonely months since her husband's death, the harsh winters, and the isolation that had nearly broken her spirit. She remembers the first moment she found Nanton half frozen and bleeding, and the fierce choice she made to save a man most of her neighbors would have left to die. The treasure, she realizes, is a symbol of the bridge she built between cultures, between fear and trust, between two wounded souls. It is a testament to the power of empathy in a world often defined by conflict and misunderstanding. That evening, Clara sits by the fire, the treasure laid out beside her. She carefully places the necklace around her neck, feeling the cool weight settle against her skin. She fastens the sash around her waist, its woven fibers a comforting embrace. For the first time in months, she feels a profound sense of belonging. The jewelry glints softly in the firelight, a reminder that wealth is not always measured in gold or silver, but in the bonds we forge with others. Clara understands that the real treasure is the trust she has earned and the new path that lies before her. Over the next days, she notices a subtle change within herself. The fear and suspicion that once shadowed her heart begin to fade. Instead, there is a quiet strength, a renewed purpose. She begins to prepare for the future, tending her garden with more hope, repairing her cabin with new energy, and even venturing further into the woods with a confidence she hadn't known before. Nathan, now fully recovered, remains by her side. Their companionship grows deeper, rooted in shared experience and mutual respect. He teaches her more about Apache customs, language, and ways of living in harmony with the land. In return, Clara shares stories of her life, her losses, and her dreams. Together, they begin to weave their histories into a shared tapestry. Word of Clara's act spreads quietly through the neighboring settlements. Some neighbors regard her with suspicion, unwilling to understand the significance of her friendship with the Apache. But others are moved by her courage, inspired by the possibility of peace and cooperation. Clara does not seek recognition or reward. The treasure she cherishes is intangible, the healing of old wounds, the creation of new alliances, and the affirmation that kindness can cross even the deepest divides. In the solitude of her cabin, Clara reflects on the journey that brought her here. The treasure, she knows, is a living thing, a bond between people, a promise of protection, and a seed of hope planted in the rugged soil of the mountains. As night falls, she looks out over the vast landscape, the stars shining bright above. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, Clara feels ready to face it, not alone, but with the strength of newfound family beside her. Weeks have passed since the Apache tribe bestowed their sacred gifts upon Clara, and life in the mountain cabin begins to settle into a new rhythm, one marked by quiet companionship and the forging of a remarkable bond between two very different worlds. Nathan, once weak and broken, now moves with a steadiness that speaks of healing not just of body, but of spirit. The wounds that once threatened his life have closed, but the deeper scars of loss and exile still linger in his eyes. Clara sees this and knows that his recovery is not complete. But together, they are beginning a journey towards something greater. One crisp morning, as the sun spills golden light across the snow-dusted landscape, Nathan approaches Clara with a small bundle wrapped carefully in deerskin. Inside are seeds, wild beans, corn, and squash he brings from his tribe's homeland. They are symbols of life, growth, and renewal. With a soft smile, he offers them to her, his gesture simple but profound. Clara feels a swell of emotion. These seeds represent more than food. They are a bridge between their cultures, a promise that life can grow even in the harshest soil. She nods, understanding the unspoken invitation. Together, they will plant a garden, a living testament to their new bond and hope for the future. As they dig into the cold earth, working side by side, Clara notices how natural it feels to have Nathan near. Their shared labor breaks down walls built by years of fear and isolation. The garden becomes a symbol of their intertwined lives, a place where two worlds meet and grow. news of Clara's unique friendship spreads quietly among the nearby settlers. Some whisper with suspicion, unable to see past old prejudices. Others watch with curiosity and a hint of admiration, wondering if peace might be possible in a land so often marked by conflict. Clara's neighbors approach her cautiously at first, uncertain how to respond. But her calm confidence and the visible change in her life speak louder than words. Slowly, barriers begin to crumble. She opens her cabin to visitors, sharing stories of her time with Nanton, teaching children about the Apache ways, and inviting dialogue where there had once been silence. Meanwhile, Nanton serves as a bridge between his tribe and the settlers. He speaks with his people, recounting Clara's kindness and courage. His testimony helps to soften hardened attitudes, fostering a fragile but hopeful truce. The tribe continues to honor Clara with visits, offerings, and shared celebrations, reaffirming their bond. Inside the cabin, Clara and Nanton's relationship deepens beyond friendship. They exchange stories, laughter, and moments of quiet understanding. Language barriers lessen as they learn from each other, their connection growing richer with every shared experience. Clara reflects on the journey that led them here, from a chance encounter in the snow to a profound partnership that defies expectations. She realizes that healing is not just physical but emotional and cultural. The walls between them, once built on fear and misunderstanding, have crumbled through compassion and trust. Together, they face the uncertain future with hope. Their garden flourishes, a living symbol of renewal in a world that often feels broken. The treasure Clara once held, the ceremonial beads and sash, remains precious. But it is the bond she shares with Nanton that sustains her dot as the seasons turn. Their story becomes one of resilience, unity, and the transformative power of kindness. In the quiet mountain cabin, two souls from different worlds find not just survival but belonging, proving that even in the harshest of places, new beginnings are possible. The story closes with Clara and Nanton standing side by side under a wide, open sky. Their hands, dirt-streaked and strong, rest gently on the thriving garden between them, a testament to the healing power of friendship, respect, and the shared journey toward a brighter tomorrow.